Hey everybody, we're live, catching up here. So as we started last night, we were talking about a systematic prospecting system, a way of doing prospecting in a systematic way. And so the reason you want to do that is one, repeatability, and two, improvement or optimization of the yield you get from the work and time and money you put into it. So it's important to recognize as you look for gold ways that you can basically improve what you're going to find ahead of time. Also ways that you can improve what you found or what you didn't find so that you can change the process or change the way you go about using the process in the future to find gold faster next time. So for tonight, I thought I'd kind of go through a little bit more of what's called the systematic stage 2, which is your site survey. And so systematic stage 1, we talked about last night, is basically doing all the research and background, looking for the sites and where you might go and doing all that background stuff. Now we've moved to the site itself. And so what we have is something that looks like this. And we're sitting waiting to find gold. Okay, this is my son Josh here years ago, but he's basically looking at this site. He's already made his determination where he's digging his sample holes, and now he's sluicing out the material into the creek. So what you want to do here is find those places where gold is likely to be first before you start this process of handling all the material. So the objective is to kind of go into this thing with your eyes open and a plan in hand rather than just kind of blindly, darting around looking for gold. And this is a great place, this particular site. We found some really good gold there. So it's one of the things that you want to do is kind of lay that out up front. So let's go back to that front page. While I'm at it, let me mention something. I gave you a link down below. You can see it. I noticed last night that the links hadn't been handled properly to the systematic offer that we have. And so you can see it down there, less the parentheses at the end. But it's sourdoughminer.com/systematic, all one word, SYSTEMATIC. So go check that out. Take a look at that video. It'll also be posted somewhere around here on one of the Facebook pages. You can look at it there, and I'll try to post it elsewhere. But just take a look at the video and see what you think. Let me know if you're interested. We'll, and if you have any problems getting it to work. We've had a little bit of difficulty with some of the web pages. That's why we're posting that link. It seems that there were a fair number of people that went in and didn't seem to be able to find it. So go figure. Murphy again. So sourdoughminer.com, systematic. Take a look. Let me know what you think. So doing the systematic site survey in stage 2, we're back to that again. And what we're looking at is, this plan we have. So I've drawn a picture of an S-curve meandering stream. And what we're looking at here is the kind of pattern in high flow that I've mapped out for this particular area. It's just a rough map, and it has, a particular big boulder in the middle of that section toward the right where it's forming a nice gold trap potentially. So I've mapped that out. We've done some sampling behind it and ahead of it, found some gold and have an idea where that is. Then we have an idea on the inside edge of the bends. We have an idea where the curve is going to go based on the helical flow. And we talk about that in helical flow. We talk about it in the systematic prospecting material. I'll also show you how to map that stuff out. So the idea is you want to basically get a picture of what you have on your site before you start digging, and then map what you actually find onto the map. So you have 2 layers. What you think might be and what is. Those are the 2 important tips that I want to give you about the site survey for tonight. It's important to know what you think is going to be there. That helps you guide you in your first samples. And then the what is guides you to zero in or optimize and converge on the actual pay streak. Very important to carry that part out. And that takes me to this other picture real quick. So when we look at a pay streak, there's a concept called a distribution. A distribution determines the highest probability that a random sample will find something or it has found something. And the center of that distribution, the peak, is where you want to focus for these pay streak samples. So that's just a tip. that you're looking for the center of what essentially is a little bit, more, less, you know, and then it starts decreasing. And so you're looking for the kind of distribution there. What I've shown here is various types of distributions for samples, and they have different physical reasons. I'm not going to go into it tonight, it's too complicated, but the idea is that you can find these by simply knowing where you want to sample and how to approach a sample. I talk about that in sampling in the systematic method. And then in addition to that, let me go to the other picture that I have here. So when you do that, you're going to map it out onto that sample map, or that picture we talked about earlier, where I have, you know, my creek picture and where I've actually taken samples from this creek. And then how I plot them out is into this kind of how many colors did I find, you know, curve. And that's what this thing shows. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I just wanted to touch bases with you on what stage 2 is about, is putting together a site survey, looking physically at the site. So you're going to be looking at the site itself, determining the kinds of bushes and the kinds of rocks and cobbles you see, the geology and the mineralogy, and even some of the plants, depending upon the kind of site it is. They may play a role in telling you as indicators of gold where gold may be, and you want to put them into your map and put them into your thinking before you ever put that shovel in the ground. Because once you start digging, if you find any gold, it's over, game over. And it may not be a good thing, because you may actually think you found gold when you missed the pay streak. So it's important to kind of really take the time up front when you look at a site and do this site survey, and then keep the site survey. It's not a static document. I planned it this way, it didn't work out. No, it's a dynamic document. You change your site survey as you go along. When you find things, you mark them down. When you don't find things, you mark it down. Then you can start seeing, like, you know, just like you're driving at night, you can start seeing the road markers that you laid out that show you where to go next and what to do next. And that's the important part, especially if you're going to scale to anything. You know, if you're going to go up to a high bank or a dredge, or you're going to get backhoes and you know, big scoops and haul out a bunch of waterfall material like somebody else did. So anyway, I thought I'd just drop this one on you tonight. It's a real quick turn. Let me check to make sure that everything's hunky-dunky on the site. I was having a little bit of trouble in broadcasting earlier. There seemed to be a little glitchiness to my video. I hope it's working okay now. Let me check and make sure. I know it's sticking my neck out. Been an interesting day. Had a power outage, another one. We seem to have more and more of those. And you know, that's kind of the nature of the beast. So yeah, we're there live, and I see Wayne's on. Good to see you. And Marlon's back. Hey, good to see you. Gwen, thanks. Paul's there. Brad Stevens there. Brandon Campbell's there. Charles, good to see you, Charles. And I think that's it right now, but it looks like everybody's here. Oh, we got Mark in Virginia. So that's kind of it for tonight. I just thought I'd touch bases with you real quick and touch you up on what stage 2 is. The essence of what we're trying to do in stage 2, like I said, is look around a site like this and determine where are the likely places. You probably back off, you know, a step or two further, and there's like that 200 feet, and look around this area and get an idea for maybe 1,000 feet what you really have in front of you. As you start working a site from year to year, it's not unusual like this one, you'll start finding places that you know have higher potential or lower potential based on the history of what you found. That's where that map comes in handy, because it's kind of a living document that lasts from season to season, as opposed to, especially us older guys, sometimes that lasts for a little while, and then we get the next gold nugget and get off track and forget that we found something over there, and where we found it and why we found it. And so having a little bit of notes in your pad to cover your site survey helps a ton when you're doing a systematic approach to prospecting. If you want to just smash and grab, that's okay, but don't blame me. I told you. Okay, so that's the idea here is look at this thing, understand what you're facing, and then plan accordingly and optimize as you find. That's what stage 2 is, and that's called the site survey. And in reality, stage 1 kind of happens maybe once per cycle when you start up a claim. Stage 2 is when you're going into the same claim and you're refining from time to time where you're going next and what For example, you may plan out 5 or 6 different locations that you want to exploit, but only one of them's good for a year. I mean, there's a lot of work there. So, okay, start there at the highest probability one, and we know where the next one is if that one doesn't work out. So we can move there quickly. How many colors were found? Those kinds of things. You got to take a couple samples at each location just to kind of get a feel for it. But once you got them, go for it, and then you know where you're going next because you have a plan. That's the idea here. That's it for tonight. Prospector Jess, I just wanted to touch bases with you on site surveys, stage 2 of the 5 stages of systematic gold prospecting. I hope everything came through. Sounds like it did. Good. It got great. John Applequest. So it looks like we got it. Hey, we got Steve from Australia. And South Carolina is checking in with Marion, I'm sorry. My eyes need checking. Actually, they've been checked. That's what the goggles are for. You put these on, and that improves greatly what you can see sometimes. Paul says you give great information to the newbies. Hey, I'm trying to give it to the newbies and the not so newbies, because you'd be surprised how many people, can use an extra pointer or two from another opinion. And I don't mind learning from you guys. You guys are terrific, a great bunch. So I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate the encouragement. As my wife would say, don't encourage him. Yeah, that's me. So I'm glad we're on this adventure together, and I hope you can join me. Like I said, check out sourdoughminer.com, systematic. That's there's a video there. It'll explain kind of what this product is that I have that's about systematic prospecting in the 5 stages and all that stuff. It's a more of a physical product. Anyway, if you're interested, take a look. If you're not, that's fine. Let me know if there's any questions or if there's any issues with the players or whatever. I'd appreciate you either feeding back here or send me a message, or you can feedback to requestcontact@huntingforgold.com and ask any questions you want to, and I will respond as fast as I can, or one of my mentorees will. We'll take care of you. Okay, so that's it for tonight. We'll catch you later. Good prospecting.